when I'm down. Got my head in the clouds and my feet on the ground. I got big dreams, gonna make them true.
Yeah, we're going to make those dreams come true here in the Genius Lab. Welcome to the Genius Lab podcast, where we help you realize your greatness. And today is a really fun, I say that sarcastically, this is a really bad to the bone podcast about a situation that actually happened to me last week or the week before, something like that. And it's something that I struggle with every once in a while. I should say quite a bit. Throughout my life, there have been several incidences that are significant in the level of my anticipation or my expectation of people keeping their word, doing what they say they're going to do, and then not following through with it. Pardon me. And each time it happens, I get better, right? I remember being in the coffee business. I put in a chain of drive-through espresso bars in the Portland, Oregon area, and these guys would want to make deals in leasing their land and all this kind of stuff. And, so I learned first, if you don't have a contract, you don't have anything. And then I learned you can still have a contract. And if the other guy's got a good enough lawyer, they can paper you to death until it costs more to get justice than it does to just walk away. And, each lesson gave me a new way of doing business. And so I started getting deposits. I started getting contracts. I started having meetings in my attorney's office so that everybody was on the same page. So I grew from them, and it's great. Well, a couple months ago, I was working with a gal on a thing called River Vibes, and it's a celebration of the Little Miami River and the community around it. And the purpose of it is to bring conscious awareness to the environment, to our environmental harmony. By keeping the river clean, we have a community that is safe, and by joining together around the river, it's just this really cool kumbaya kind of thing. And I said, hey, what if we took, and when they do this event called River Vibes, they have groups, music groups and music performers along the river. So as people are rafting down the river or cleanup crews are going by, they have this entertainment, kind of like if you've ever run a marathon. There's usually bands or singers along the way to help motivate and inspire you, right? Well, I said, let's do an album of songs inspired by the river. And of course, she lit up and loved it. And I said, here's what I can do in GeniusLab Studio. I'll give you a significant discount on production, but let's get the people together and do it. So let's find someone to fund it. And there's got to be someone who cares about the river, who loves the community and wants to contribute. So she calls me like a week later and says, hey, I found this guy, this guy from blah, 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 blah. Said he wants to fund it. He's this really rich guy, and he told me about all his places, and he's got, so on and on and on. And I kind of got a little bit of a red flag because most of the really wealthy people that I know don't brag about all the stuff they have, and usually it's the wannabes or the nouveau riche that are the braggers. And this guy was acting like a high school quarterback, trying to get the cheerleader, bragging about this and that, and so I'm like, all right, I'll meet with him. Let's see. And sure enough, he seemed legit, and he asked really good questions, and I thought he was for real. And so then he said, well, hey, I want to fund this. He said, get with me next week and I'll get you a check. So I got with him the next week. He said, hey, before I write the check, I want to see your studio. Which, of course, made complete sense to me, because if I'm going to write a chunk of money to somebody, I want to make sure they're real. Could have been a con. And so anyway, excuse me, I'm going to have a little tea here. Nothing like yerba mate. So anyway, he came to the studio. We had a great talk. He stayed here for a couple hours. And when we ended it, we shook hands. He says, I can't wait to get on this. Let's do it. And he sent me a text with, here's what I think we should do. Here's the performances we should do. I mean, totally laid it out. He said, now send me the address where I send the check, or send me the account information. And I didn't know him well enough to send him my account information, but we sent him the address of the nonprofit that's sponsoring the River Vibes event. And the check didn't show up. And we had people in line. He had suggested some people to do some recording, and on and on and on. Oh, well, I was out of town. And the bottom line is, in the 13th hour, we already had people scheduled for recording and the whole thing laid out. He just changes his mind. And I was so frustrated, so horribly disappointed, and really pissed off. And it was that he said he was going to do something, followed through on it, built the expectations, got actively involved with it, and then just pulled the plug. It was almost like an intentional betrayal. It's like you set somebody up so you can mess with them, right? And so that was part of it. The other part of it, why didn't I see it happening? Why didn't I see it coming? I saw a few red flags, but then they were overcome by behavior that makes sense. If you're going to invest in something, or if you're going to make a donation to something, you want to make sure it's legit. And so I was pissed at myself. And then but then I got really, I don't have a name for the emotion, but whatever it was, it caused my chest to be really compressed. I felt like I had a belt tightened around my chest, and I couldn't breathe very well, and I couldn't sleep very well. And one morning I woke up about 3:00, and I wasn't consciously having anxiety about this situation, but I realized that there was an element of anxiety, an element of disappointment, an element of feeling betrayed, and that was all not just this thing, but all the things that had happened in my life that I truly, up to this point, had not let go of. And it was like the light came on, and I saw all this garbage that I'd been carrying around, all this anxiety and resentment and hate, and it was like hidden under, oh, well, everything will work out fine in my life, and I trust, the ancestors to bring me the best possible outcome, and all this stuff. And to be honest, I must not have actually believed it. Sometimes we have beliefs, but we don't really believe them. And it's kind of like somebody who doesn't have any money, and they're like, I believe that I'm a millionaire. And you're like, no, you don't, because if you did, you'd be one. So, or at least well on your way. So I had to cop to my own shit. I didn't really believe that things would work out for the best and highest good. So I had a little come to Jesus meeting, so to speak, not necessarily with Jesus, but with the higher power that I am connected to. And I said, hey, I just got this great revelation. Thank you for taking off the blinders. Let's do this differently. And I started to really trust the universe, really trust the ancestors, really trust my guides. Like really. And what happened was my heart opened up. I felt like 100 pounds had been lifted off my chest. And ever since that moment, it probably took 15 minutes to do the prayer and really take it in. Since then, I've had no chest pains whatsoever, no pressure. I've slept like a baby. It's amazing. And yes, if I saw this particular man crossing the street, I'm not sure if I would slow down, but I wouldn't speed up. And yes, I still feel, pardon me, disappointed and betrayed, but it's not the end all. It's like, wow, another lesson. This is cool. Here we go. Now what? And the trust that somebody else is going to come along and fund this thing, because I don't want to disappoint the musicians that I've made a commitment to. I'm not going to be like this guy and go, sorry guys, we're not getting any money, so screw you. I'm not going to do it. Not at all. This other guy might have no problem disappointing people. I have a problem disappointing people. When I give my word, you're going to have what happens. Okay, whatever I say I'm going to do, I'm going to do. And if for some reason I can't, you're going to know it ahead of time, and I'm going to be, it will be laced with apology, not just drop out of the thing and because I changed my mind because I just don't feel like doing it anymore. Anyway, the bottom line of the whole thing is if you have memories of the past, resentments from the past, anger towards certain people, most of it, I'm sure, is justified. Absolutely. And I have no problem with being pissed at somebody. However, when you hang on to it and when you allow it to eat you up inside, it's not helpful for you. So find a way, and if you need help, get in touch with me. I've had some good experience at this in this last particular thing. We have the TRP, the tactical resilience process, and the negative emotion clearing technique that, they work wonders. I ran the emotional clearing technique protocol on myself. And oh my God, freedom after freedom after freedom from all of these things that I didn't even realize I was carrying. So don't let anger, betrayal, hurt, don't let it affect you. Don't let it take your joy. Realize your greatness by letting it go. Own your power, own your greatness, and keep looking up.